Hey, y'all, we are back. Man, welcome to another episode of More Than a Title. I'm your host, Jared Thomas, as usual. And thank you guys for joining, man. I know we got a late special episode today, man, but we got a special guest today, man. And I just want to, introduce this brother, man, because he's truly inspiring. So, he's one of Adweeks' 50 most important people in media, marketing, tech, and Savoy's magazine, most influential Black executive in corporate America. Man, on top of that, he's also a digital advertising veteran in the space, right? Holds 6 U.S. patents for digital ad formats and ad products and implemented strategies for publishers and companies such as Google, Viacom, NYTimes, MySpace. So let's introduce this brother, man, because I've been a fan for a while and I'm honored to have him here. So let's welcome our special guest, man, Walter Geer. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man? Thank you, man. I appreciate being here, man. I do. I genuinely do. And thank you for the kind words, man.
No, man, you a bad brother, man. Like, for real, man. I've been on my journey on LinkedIn's been for 2 years, and I'm gonna keep it real with you, man, because I've now got the opportunity to chat with you. Like, you're one of the people that I just see and is like, yo, man, you are doing it. Just everything you do and what you represent. Because, like, I'm be honest with you, when I came up in the industry, I didn't have anybody that looked like that.
Yeah.
You know how that goes, bro. I didn't have nobody with the hat on. I didn't have nobody. I'm from the block, man. You know what I mean? I industry.
Yeah, I get it, man. I mean, I felt the same way, man, when we came up, and the few that were there, unfortunately, don't pick up. You know what I'm saying? Don't pick up. So I've just tried to make it a point, man, to just when people reach out, do my best at least to respond to people, man, and help provide opportunities for people, man. It costs me nothing to make a referral or give 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes of advice, man. It's important for all of us to do.
That's love, brother. That's love, man. So I would love to, obviously, for everybody listening, if it's your first time, the whole premise of this show is to really I was tired of the old marketing podcast, and I know you see them all. It's just like, hey, we're talking about SEO, and this is the expert. And like, that's cool, man. That's helpful. But I think there's more lessons and more valuable lessons in the journeys, right? Like, I've heard from CEOs that slept in their cars for 6 months, man. How did you overcome that? And those are the real stories that I want to hear, brother. So if you want to, man, let's start at the top, brother. I would love to know how you got into the industry, man.
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny. So I kind of stumbled into the industry. I actually, and I say this all the time, like I lied, man, to get in, right? So my dad was an engineer for years at GE and Duracell. And he had said to me, yo, like, you should get in this web design stuff. And I was like, man, I barely have a fucking email address. And real talk. And next thing you know, he's like, yo, I got you an interview at this place called Transworld Entertainment. And Transworld Entertainment is the largest music distributor in the world at the time. So go figure where they are now, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I went in this interview and they were like, do you know HTML? I was like, yep. Do you know JavaScript? Yep. Do you know Photoshop? Yep. They're like, can you start in 2 weeks? I was like, can you give me 3? And I went to the library and I literally studied in the library and then continued to work on the job. So, I mean, that's how I got in, man. I didn't know jack about design or anything of that nature, man. I just kind of got in and just went with it.
That's insane, bro. That I think we all stumble in the industry in some way or format. Like I'll give you my quick story, but I want to say, before I even do that, man, I want to say what's amazing about that, right? It's the mindset. Yeah. And I'm actually doing a TED talk on this, bro, like next year for the Bronx.
Okay.
How to shift your mindset, bro. And like the fact that you said, yo, I don't know what I'm doing with this, but guess what? How bad do I want it? I'm going to go to the library. I'm going to pick this book up. I'm going to go through chapter 1. And JavaScript is not, for those who don't know, is not the most sexiest topic. It's very technical. And if you don't know what you're doing, you researching on top of researching and doing some more research, fam.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. Through my time there, even when I was there and other places too, and I talk about this all the time, like I had individuals who supported me along the way, So when I got in, I worked with this dude named Tom, who was this like old school Marvel comic artist, like drew for like Spider-Man and real stuff like that. And this dude like took me under his wing and he was like, don't worry, I got you. Yeah, I'll teach you. Just run over. So I sat in the queue right next to him and he would just continuously like jump over, help me with stuff, boom. And he knew I didn't know what I was doing, but he just helped me kind of, straighten it out and figure it out. So I'm definitely fortunate.
That's real, man. Shout out to Tom, man. Because he could have went another way. So shout out to that, bro. Yeah, man. So I get it. So you went from, the digital experience stuff. So you went from like the front end, website stuff. Where did you get your passion for creative?
I mean, that's an interesting question, man. I mean, probably early on, right? Because when I went to the NYTimes, I was literally their first rich media hire, right? Wow. So they were like, yo, like, we just need to figure out how we use Flash and like what these floating ads do and expandable banners are and whatnot. And when I got in there, it just gave me the ability to just think big. And I think, when we go back to like 99, 2000 and .com, it's kind of like Web 3.0 today, right? Which is like everyone's just trying to scramble and figure it out and shooting 150 different directions. And when I was there, I was fortunate enough to be there at a time where like innovating was easier because it was like, how much shit can you put on this screen, right? And at the time, it was about just being intrusive as shit. So we built like one of the first Peel. You remember Peel ads? It's one that looks like
of course, yeah.
I launched that over there. But probably the most impactful thing, one of the more impactful things in my career while I was there, I worked on a team where we invented sequential messaging. So anybody knows what sequential messaging is. That is, you go to a site to go look for, let's say, a pair of shoes. You go to Instagram, someplace else, and those shoes follow you everywhere you go, right? So I was part of the team that invented that. And really kind of that, going from there, I kept moving to companies where I could do the same thing. Companies that allow me to just think big and think out of the box. So, I spent some time at Viacom. And that was dope because their whole thing was like, yo, we just need you to drive incremental revenue, through our sales team. And for me, that was like, all right, cool. I'm going to lean heavily into innovation. But then thinking with the approach that like, as we innovate, brands want to always be the first ones to market with shit. But at the same time, then it's like, oh, it's going to cost me a lot because it's inventive. I got to learn something new. It's going to take a long time to build. So what we did was we built out the first biometric usability lab in the space. Right. And what we essentially did was allow me to understand the emotional state of an individual when they engaged and interacted in real time. So I could tell you what works based off color, call to action, speed of animation, position on page, the whole 9 yards. And we were doing this by pulling heart rate, pupil dilation, arousal, which is sweat on the palms, eye tracking, facial expressions, whether you're leaning forward or backwards. So I could essentially create the perfect ad, bring it to market, and sell stuff that we were selling for like $300,000 for like $6 to $7 million. Right. Yo, so it was. Yeah, man, it was
kidding, bro. That's insane. Cause I come from the display advertising space. So let me get it back. So you create. First of all, how do you? I got a lot of questions, bro.
Yeah.
Number one, as a Black professional, what advice would you give to other Black professionals to get executive leadership buy-in to think big and be creative?
Yeah, that's a good one, man. I think that starts with the environment you chose to work in, because there's places out there like, look. Like I get brands like Microsoft and Facebook and all that, but those big companies also, it's harder to innovate unless you're at the top, right? It's harder to drive influence. So, I was fortunate that even some of the larger companies I was at, like Viacom and MySpace and whatnot, like I was in positions where they were trying to grow revenue like badly.
Yeah,
Were almost willing to do whatever it took. Like when we went to MySpace, like my whole leadership team from Viacom went over to MySpace. They took me with them. And with the intent that like within a year's time, we're going to flip this shit and move on. And when we moved over there, like their users, like Facebook was popping, MySpace was just tanking.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, we need to turn revenue around. Well, how are you supposed to turn revenue around when all your users are falling off of a cliff? You go out to a brand, you try to sell at the time, like homepage takeovers or even any reach across your site, and it's all dropping. So that meant prices were dropping the shit that they were selling. So I came in. And I came with the big ideas and the big creative executions. And again, taking homepage takeovers from like $300,000 a day to $1 million a day. So users were going like this and revenue was going like this to lead to the sale. So I was constantly in places where like they needed to drive money and they were almost like welcoming it because they were like, yo, we got to figure it out or shit's going to hit the fan here. So for me, that was kind of, I was fortunate to be in a place like that. But there are other places out there that are most certainly innovating, right, in AR and VR. It's about kind of choosing the right place for you because it's real easy to go someplace and get empty promises and get stuck doing, low-hanging fruit shit, which entail, like for a creative, that hurts your career, man, because that hurts your portfolio.
Yeah, and it hurts your passion.
Yeah.
Right. You can't be creative if you're not passionate about what you're doing, right? Not what you love. So like, I totally get that, brother. And let's get back to the biometric. Bro, I came from the way you just went off on me. That was real, bro. Cause I come from that space. And a big thing for me is understanding all those things. Like what are those behaviors, right? What's that qualitative research to know how these users are going to behave? So you actually did that and was able to predict that in real time, bro. Can you break that down for us for people who don't necessarily come from that space, but we all been to a site. We went to Foot Locker, clicked on the Jordans, and then you go to another site. It's on World Star and all that. So you kind of did retargeting. Between like retargeting and what you created. Yeah.
So with this usability lab, I mean, you got to think for a second. It looks like someone's in the middle of an ICU, right? So they're hooked up with all this stuff, shit on their head, things on their hands, and everything like that to measure sweat, blood pressure, like all that, right? And dilation from the cameras from the laptops. And what we're doing essentially is this. So I will create like whatever unit solution, whatever. Here's a great example. Do you know skippable pre-roll, right?
Yeah.
All right. For the folks watching that don't know, skippable pre-rolls, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, skip, and you could skip the ad. Now I invented and patented that, right? So when I came up with that solution, the first iteration of that was actually called pour-to-pass, right? So what it was doing is innovating, building all these new units, right? And then pour-to-pass is one. So pour-to-pass, essentially, the way that first skippable pre-roll was you get a 30-second spot, and this one was Pepsi. 30-second spot for Pepsi, and the lower left-hand corner, you get a little bottle of Pepsi, and it says pour-to-pass, which is why I call it a pour-to-pass. You scroll your mouse over that, and then turn your mouse into the bottle. The bottle turned upside down, and it starts filling up the video screen with Pepsi. That fill-up was 5 seconds, like your 5 second, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 seconds, fills up, boom, and then you get a voiceover that says, this skip was powered to you by Pepsi, and you go into the content that you wanted. Right, so that was the first iteration of skippable pre-roll. But when we ran that, I basically brought that in the usability lab. Now, when I brought this into this lab, we're looking for a whole bunch of different stuff that we can see against a timeline. So if you look at all these screens and you see the timeline of the animation, okay, bottle does this, bottle goes here, right, you're 5 seconds in, whatever. And then we're looking at what is this user looking at that time. So we use heat maps, and then we see where the mouse is going. And then we study the facial expressions. Are they starting to get excited when it turns in the bottle? Then it starts filling up the screen. Are they do they look frustrated? And then we do pupil dilation, right? And then we do arousal, which is like sweat in the palms, right? And so when you're looking at this all on a timeline, you could say about 5 seconds in after they actually interacted with it, there is an element of surprise, and then the heart rate raised, and then we saw them smile, right? And then we saw that. So like you're able to look at a timeline and see all these different emotions and pick different points in that creative where it was actually effective and drove the best engagement. And then we pulled it out of that. So when you're seeing shit where like they look frustrated, they look annoyed, their mouse is going all over the place, like they don't know what to do, right? Then okay, maybe that's not the best one to use. But that pour-to-pass blew up, right? It blew up, took off. People were like, oh my God, I love that because I could skip some shit that I didn't want to see in the first place. And then boom, after we figured out, yes, this works, this was effective, this is the age, this is a demo. Now these are the actual audience that we're going to go after for these type of brands, right? So that's what we're doing. We brought in these labs, tested it, pulled out all these different metrics and insights from it, and then packaged it, then brought it to market. That way, when we brought to market this innovative solution, we could literally say, it's inventive, no one's ever done this, we have a patent on this, and we can guarantee this much engagement.
Yo, bro, that is insane. I'm trying to not stop for my jaw from dropping, bro, because I ain't know none of this. And I'm glad. That's why I love, because you see my natural reaction. I did not know that. You know what I'm saying? That's real. But like, yo, my next question for that is, right? So you created this, right? How did you go about the business of that in terms of making the patent, right? Because I would think if the company or whoever else you're working with are investing into that too, wouldn't they want to own the patent? So how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing, like read the fine print. When you sign.
All right, that's real.
No, real talk is like 99.9% of shit that you sign when you go to work at a company says that the things you build there for the company, on the company's laptops and devices is the company's. Right. So don't get it twisted. Like those patents, bro, you wouldn't have known who I was, man, because I'd be on some beach someplace else and like sipping margaritas. Right. So, yeah. So, you know, the way that works is like when I was there, basically, they were like, yo, we're ready to package this. This is crazy. We got to get this out in the market. But then, you know, it wasn't even my idea. My boss was like, yo, we got to actually pause for a second and patent this before we bring it out. Because then when we bring it out, other people can't copy it immediately, right? We essentially own it. We're the only ones with it, and we can guarantee effectiveness, which then allowed us to raise our prices through the roof. So then what happened is we go out and we would show like 3, 4, 5 brands. And then we basically was like, started a bidding war. This is what we got. It's new, has a run, it's patent. You could be the first one to run on it, right? So another one we did like that was crazy is when I was at MySpace, we did one. It's a format that I call the HD skin. So, you know, when you go to websites and you see the whole entire background of the site is all video content.
Yep.
Right. So I patented that as well. Right. And it's funny because the first one we ever ran, we started bidding more. Sony Pictures ended up buying it, but then Sony Pictures ended up buying it to run that movie, the Facebook movie.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, here's this huge, crazy fucking ad with video on the homepage for Facebook on the homepage of MySpace. Right. So yeah, man. I mean, it just helped us really kind of sell that stuff through.
That is insane, bro. Like, oh man, I can geek out of that on this on this topic because I come from the space, bro. Like, so everything you say is amazing.
We can go there. We can go there. It's all good.
I want to go so many places, bro. Like one thing so once you started that and once you started seeing success, right, with that, right? Or because I'm a personal brand person, so I would love to know what made you want to get out there too, right? Like, so when you started your journey on LinkedIn and other places to get out there and you started getting on the circuit, right? Like where did that come from and how did that begin? And what's the coolest thing that's happened to you as you being on the circuit? What's one moment you like, man, I made it?
Yeah. It's like it was about 4 years ago when I worked at this other tech company, I had this white dude who was just incredible, man. And he was my ghostwriter, right? So I can't write for shit. I'm not a copywriter. But he was ghostwriting stuff and James, and we decided to write this piece together. My CMO, this white woman, was like, you got to put this piece out. And what the piece was basically, I called it the Black quarterback effect in advertising, right? In short, essentially the fact that, Black executive creatives today are treated the same way Black quarterbacks in the 70s and early 80s were, which was like, nah, they're not smart enough to run the team because like creative director runs the fucking show. He's a quarterback. So it's like, no, they're not smart enough to run the show. We don't want them out here running, calling the shots and calling the plays. Let them go run the pass over here. Let them go run and jump. Let them go take the ball and sprint that way, right? So, I did this whole article about that, and I was really nervous about putting it out. And they both were like, no, like this has to, you got to put this out. So we put that out in a publisher called GeoMarketer. And it kind of took off. And that was kind of like when the first time I put my voice out there in association with like, what I saw as current problems. And so fast forward another year, I just started speaking my mouth and speaking openly on LinkedIn. And I did a post about ageism because everyone was posting this, 40 under 40 award, 30 under 30. And I was like, this is some bullshit. I was like, there's a lot of talent over 40. And I kind of just said some ignorant shit that ended up going crazy viral. And then Forbes magazine wrote an article about it, and Adweeks wrote an article about it. And it was like everything from there kind of took off. But what I learned from that moment was, wow, there's power in some of the shit that you can say, because people were sending me personal messages. Like I must have had like 50 to 100, not even kidding you, a day. Where people are like, yo, thank you for writing this. It means a lot because of this. And like, I lost my job and I was, making $100,000 and now I'm working at Starbucks at night, and like crazy stories. And it made me think like, yo, if I could tap into people on this, then I need to spark something for Black people and brown people because like we see a real short end of this stick too. So I obviously started speaking my mind and it just kind of one thing led to another, and just it's odd. People started listening, but I think it was because, in this pandemic, the past 2 years, we're in a moment where, people want to be heard, right? And people want to be seen. And what I've done really is I try to build community by essentially leading the horse to the water, right? I say things, I spark a topic. And it's interesting that I have this tendency of creating community in my comments, in my threads, where people feel comfortable and safe saying some real wild shit, but, and to your last part, like the moment where like, I don't know, there's a moment I made it moment, but like, it was crazy because all this stuff I was talking on social, like it then connected me on Instagram and with all these different celebrities who reached out like, yo, that was dope. You did this thing. And I established relationships with crazy people, man. And like people like Lamar Odom and people like Marcus Samuelson and Gary Vaynerchuk and all these people that I like text with and like motherfuckers like FaceTime me on a regular, and it's weird. Right. So I did probably the one that I was like, damn, I can't believe this shit was, I did a live or last year for Black History Month. I was like, yeah, I want to do something about inspiring Black people around the power of showing up and what it takes to succeed. So I was like, yeah, I reached out to Sugar Shane Mosley, and he was like, yo, bet, let's do it. And then I'm on this live with him like, yo, this shit is crazy. But before that, we a week before, he's like, yo, just FaceTime me real quick. So I FaceTimed him. And yo, I'm FaceTime. This motherfucker's in the jacuzzi and shit out in the snow. He's like, yo, what's good? I'm like, is this nigga in the motherfucking jacuzzi? And I'm like, this shit's crazy, man. It was like, that was when I was like, this shit's real crazy. Bubbles, bro. Shirt off shit. I'm like, this is crazy right now, man.
Yo, bro, like, yeah, you know why I love that story and I feel that. And before I go on the story, Tanya, who's watching right now, she wants to know what's the name of the article. Could you just say that for her one time?
The Black Quarterback Effect in Advertising. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
It's if you go to my LinkedIn page, it's on my profile. It's like in one of my articles I posted a little while ago. Like it's like publications, I think it's in there.
That good looks, bro. And shout out to Tanya. You know, much love as always. But what I love about that, bro, is because I resonate with that, right? Yeah. And I said this before we got into the joint, man. I feel like Martin when he had that episode with Varnell Hill, and I'm like, man, how do I get to the yams? How do I get to because it's my story almost to a T.
Yeah.
Right? So my story started off of me just not wanting to send cold emails because I just hated the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sending 1,000 cold emails to people that I don't know. And I felt like that wasn't effective. And I felt like I had a story to tell. And I felt like there was a story in my losses, which is why I created the podcast. Mm-hmm. So what really worked for me was when I was like, yo, it wasn't the SEO content. It wasn't none of that. But when I was like, yo, I was just 22 years old. I was in Starbucks in La Penguin City. I worked at Dallas BBQ smelling like ribs. You know, my bros, I'm sitting there serving my bros. Like I was on that time. And then I had my son. And then I stuck in to tech and I stuck in sales. And then they're going around the room. They're like, yo, I'm from Yale. I'm from this one. I'm from Buffalo State. Yeah, I'm Jared Thomas from Evander Childs High School in the Bronx. And I'm a top seller out here. And this is what's up. And then, you know, and that was my story, bro. But like you said, I got 50, 100 DMs, people from Germany, France. Yo, brother, I love your story. And yo, you inspired me. And then it made me want to be authentic. And then I'm like, yo, this is how I can do it. And then I started the podcast and I spoke to, this is how I feel like speaking with you, bro. Or when I speak to the CEO of Revolt, shout out to the brother DeTavio. Yep. He spoke on my podcast the day he got promoted to CEO.
That's what's up.
Like he could have curved me. Like, yo, bro, I was like, why am I talking to some agency in New York, some SEO shit? I don't even need SEO. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know who you are, family, if I'm being real. You know what I'm saying?
Start creating opportunities, man. It's not that didn't cost them anything. You know what I'm saying? Some people can do that, and that's important. It's important when we do things like that and reach back, man, and create opportunity for people. It's easy. It's not much.
But even further than that, what it does for somebody like myself, and then it gives somebody else. So if I get there, I'm showing love, and I'm bringing people up, and I'm showing them it's cool. I got people in the Bronx that from the block. My dudes from the block are like, yo, bro. Like, mama, you made it, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I go to the block, I'm that guy. You know what I'm saying? And that's love. And I'm trying to show my brothers it's a different way, man, because we can do this shit. We can do anything. And so when you say that and to see what you've been able to accomplish, bro, just let you know that shit don't go unnoticed.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. Yo, Wakefield, man. Wakefield right here, man. 241st, bro.
Oh, word?
What's that? Wakefield, man.
Straight up 241st. You're on the 2 side. Yeah.
Man, Nereid, man. Right off, Edson, man. Right off Nereid. So,
yeah, bro. Come on. I went to Evander. Almost went to Mount St. Michael. My grandma still live on Derima.
Okay, yeah, he's right around the corner, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm on the 6 line, Parkchester.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man. So that's crazy. And everybody's listening, y'all. This is our first time. This is love right there. That's real. You know what I mean? But as far as like, so where do you see your like what are some things that you get excited about right now? Because bro, like to be honest with you, man, your career story and your journey is just incredible, man. And it's like at your mode, bro, if I was you right now, I'm stressed out, you know what I'm saying? I'm that guy and all that, but you don't come off as that, right? Like, so like, where do you see yourself, man? Where is the growth for you at this point, man? And what do you get excited about?
Yeah, honestly, man, it's been a ride, bro. The past few years, I've been in this space for 22 years, and it feels like it's going so fast. But you know, I always throughout my whole career, I was always like, yeah, I just want to be a chief officer. I want to be a chief creative officer. And then later in my career, I was like, nah, fuck a CCO. Like I want to be a chief experience design officer because, you know, there's a significant difference between the two, right? And I look at, well, no hate to anybody who's a CCO. I think there's a lot of way smarter people out there than myself that do those roles. But on many of them, there's this emphasis on film, right? And it's like winning is getting my shit on a Super Bowl ad. And for me, I'm like, yeah, that's not it, right? Because we live in a space now where everything is digital. And when we look at experience design, these are individuals who are focused primarily on understanding the entire digital landscape and really figuring out the right moment to reach an individual the right way in a way that matters, right? So experience design, officers are really thinking about the future, right? And what's coming and utilizing things like Alexa and AI and all this kind of stuff. So I always thought I wanted to get there. And just last week, I was promoted to Chief Experience Design Officer, which is like,
oh, that congrats, bro.
Thank you, bro. And there's like, I think there's only like 3 or 4 other Black C-suite executives, creative executives in the US in a major holding agency, which is fucked up. The role I was in before as executive creative director, there was only 10 of us. So, I got here and I'm kind of like, well, this like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's next. For me, though, what's more important is like, because you get towards the end of your career, you get to a point of, man, like, success in advertising is measured by the shit that you have, the car that you drive, fucking how much money you make, your title, where you live. And you get to a point like we all have that grandparent, right? There's like, oh, she's going to say, just want to warn you before you go in here. She might say some crazy shit, right? Because she doesn't give a damn anymore because she lived life. And I kind of feel like I've gotten to this point, man, where like, I really don't give a shit, right? And when I say that, I give a shit in terms of like saying the shit that I want, saying the shit that I mean and the way I feel. And for me, success is defined by how much opportunity I can create for other Black people, right? So it is, how can I pave the way or how can I reach back and create an opportunity? Because I'm like, I don't want to be a CEO. I don't need to be a CEO. So like, this is my last stop. Like I've gotten here, right? At top of my mountain, so to speak, right? So for me, it's, what I can leave behind because quite frankly, like when I die, like this shit is like money, cars, all this shit is gone, right? But the things that will be left behind is the people who I've helped create opportunity for, who would then pass that on to other people. And it's not even passing on to other people. It's like making direct impact to someone's family.
That's real, bro. And that's when I'm gonna keep it real with you, bro. That's what inspires me at this point. Yeah. And that's what inspired me to be myself, man. Because I done lost being the other way.
Yeah.
I done code switch and I did all that, bro. I had a phone voice. I had all that, man. Like it was real. You know what it is, man. And like a young lady who was on, she was a CEO, man. Shout out to Christina. She said something yesterday. Other Monday when I had her on. She said, when you're being authentic, it gives other people permission to be authentic, right? And when that happens, bro, like I'm on that same way. So people are like, how are you able to be so authentic? Like, how are you so confident? Because I don't give a shit. And you said it. You said it, bro. I don't give a shit. I don't care because I done lost. I done hit rock bottom. The situations we've been in, from 241st, it's way realer out there.
Yeah.
It's way realer out there.
You
know what I mean? And what we deal with on a day-to-day basis and being able to open up the doors for those brothers, right? There's a person right now, 241st, that might be listening to this right now. That is like, you know what I'm saying? And that's real, man. And that's what it's about. And that's what I care about. The sales, all that stuff is going to come. The money going to come if you're doing right by good people.
Yeah, that's true, man. I mean, and here's the thing. Danielle Lee, she's a chief executive over at, God, where does she go now? At Sony. I forgot which Universal. And she said something to me that one time, like a couple months ago. I was like, damn, that shit is mad true. And what she was saying is that Black people negotiate for money. White men negotiate for power, right? And there's a significant difference when you start to break that down, right? Because we often get caught in this like money shit. Like, I want this money. I get this money. I could go do this thing. But that power gets you opportunity, makes you decision maker in the room, which like the money comes, right? So it's like focus on the job and getting the shit done and the shit that you want to do and try to enjoy that and be in that moment. Like all the money and all that shit comes at a point in time. But when you kind of think about it the other way around, you can just get your shit real crossed up and just head the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's so real, bro. That's so real, man. And I've got a last question for you, bro. And I want to keep you. I know we've got the kids and the family, man, and I appreciate you, bro.
Oh, good, man. I got time. If you want to go a little longer, I got time.
Oh, yeah, and then I'm good too. Kids are sleeping. I'm ready, bro. But like, my question for you, bro, like, and this is a real one. This is straight from me. Yeah. So just telling you my story and from my background, bro, and what I'm trying to do, and what you're doing is what I try to inspire to be. Yeah. Like, so what advice would you give not only to myself, but for other young Black brothers and sisters that are trying to do the same as you and trying to follow that footstep? Like, what's the best advice you would give to us, bro?
Yeah, I think number one is no code switching, man, because people don't understand how difficult it is to code switch, right? And I don't think a lot of white people actually really understand how difficult it is. It's really fucking exhausting because it's like, your job is like 70% of your life. Right. And like literally your day to day. And for 70% of the time every week, you're showing up and putting on an act. And so I can say that, it's funny. If you look at my Instagram account, if you scroll through my shit, you could see it literally as clear as day when that stopped. Because you could see my photos from like wingtip shoes and khakis and shit to like Jordans and fucking hoodies. Right. Yeah. And it was like when I did that, and that was when I was at Viacom, when I cut that out and started showing up as me, bro, like patents, all that shit. It was like 1 year cut, and then my fucking career just took off, right? And so the one advice I get is like, don't spend your time focusing on on being somebody you're not. Spend your time focused on getting the shit done at work and being who you are, right? Because when you show up as your natural self, you'll be able to exert yourself in a way that just matters, right? You can build and create things because you're not limiting yourself, right? But beyond that, as a creative, what I tell folks that I mentor a lot is that, and this goes for many other roles as well, there's power in knowing how to speak, pitch, and tell a story. Right? Those are all three different things. So I tell people who are on the come up, like, yo, you got to learn how to speak. You got to learn how to pitch. You got to learn how to tell a story. And when they said, well, how? I said, well, some of us have kids. If you don't, some of us have younger siblings or nieces and nephews. What I say is, how do you read your book to them? Right? You're overly animated. You raise your voice. You know when to drop your voice and get real quiet. That's the way you pitch, right? So when you pitch and you get in these rooms, like the more senior you get in your career, right? Like the less hands-on you're doing and the more inspiring people around you're doing. Like I might get into Photoshop for like 10 minutes a week, you know what I'm saying? Or Figma for like 3 minutes a week, right? And or Illustrator, and it's like I don't touch it, but my time is spent inspiring my team, right? Inspiring the clients and inspiring consumers to buy the shit that I'm actually coming up with, right? So learn how to tell a story, but when you and pitch and present, but when you tell a story now, like it's understanding how to reel someone in, right? It's like I go from more of like a scare tactic point of view. Yep. Right. So I start with a problem. So the problem is boom, this, and then you come hit them with a real heavy stat. Right. And then let me explain why that matters because of this. But let me tell you what the solution is because we have this. And let me tell you how that works. It's like you have to paint this picture that's so graphic, right, in the way you speak and the way you tell that story. And that is what it takes, I believe, to be an executive, especially a creative. Right. Those few things.
I love it. And it's interchangeable also with sales folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it is, bro. Like I tell people all the time, man, you don't sell a product, you don't sell the same thing you just said. Same exact thing, man. You understand the problem. This is what the stat is, and this is how you're able to help, man. And just being yourself, and that's what I want to do. To be honest with you, bro, because I feel like I'm inspiring now, and I feel like, and like you said too, once I ditched the code switching, once I ditched all of that stuff, man. That's when the career took off. And that's when I started doing things. That's when Google, LinkedIn, Amazon started reaching out. Yo, what's up, brother? You know what I mean? They ain't know me. Didn't care to, you know what I'm saying? And that's just real, brother. Just to hear from you, man, is just reassuring to know that I'm on the right path. And I know that other people that listen to this that do the same, they're on the right path, brother. So that means a lot, man. And and as far as the future, I would love to talk about the future stuff. Matter of fact, as we go into the future of marketing, I do want to talk Web 3.0, NFTs, all that stuff, man. But what is the one creative piece of work that you hang on your hat on right now? Like, what's the one that it was like, man, I went through hoops and loops, and man, it was a crazy ass story. It was a tight deadline, and we got that thing going.
A few, man, but like one that I go back is probably my favorite because I think it was just the most disruptive. Was one I did for Netflix Black Mirror season 3. So when they came through, the RFP was essentially like, we want to scare the shit out of as many people as possible, and we don't care who. So when we went back and like, okay, great, well, who do we want us to reach? There's a specific demo, whatever age group, whatever, and they were like, everybody. We're like, all right, cool. So the idea was a simple one. I was like, okay, well, Black Mirror, right, is all about, for anyone who watches it, Black Mirror is all about the use of the advancements in technology and basically how it's like destroyed humanity, and very real stuff because they really hit on technology that we're using on a daily basis today. Yeah. So I thought, well, how do you do that in an ad? I said, well, we have location-based ad serving, right? And I can tell where someone's at when I deliver an ad. So what we decided to do is we had this ad, and it was like this kind of lower, it was like a 320 by 50 banner that expanded open and made it look like your phone cracked. And then it actually said, we know what you're watching, but do you know who's watching you? And then we put a Google Street View of a picture of the outside of your house, and then put your address across the screen, and then we close it out, right? And dude, like, people freaked the fuck out. Like it was taken down. It was taken down within 24 hours of most publishers it was on because everyone was pissed about it. And that's exactly what they wanted to do. But what's funny is the first iteration of that I was trying to get out the door that the legal team just wouldn't go with is I wanted to show you a picture that first, before we showed a picture of the outside of your house, I wanted to actually show a picture of a shady location that you went. So if we served this ad to whatever, Joe, Schmo, and we put in like, you know, Cindy's fucking strip joint, whatever on whatever 30 something street first, and then showed your home address, that shit would like freak people. Like Could you imagine people like,
oh my God, bro.
but the legal team wouldn't go for that, man. So that was probably one that just I thought was just really exciting and cool. But I think my more recent work is
that's insane.
Probably the Black Madison Avenue project that I just launched about like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, saw that.
Yeah, that was dope because for anyone who hasn't seen it, you could check it out. It's still online now. It's a docu-series we put out. We basically got 7 out of the 10 Black ECDs in North America in a major holding agency to get together and do a 3-part series where we just went all in on like what was going on. I mean, like every person who was in that room who spoke from their heart and like put their jobs on the line with the shit that they said in these rooms. So it was powerful, man. And that series, man, took off, man. Like colleges added it to their curriculum as content that they need to see in the schools now. Duke University, University of North Carolina, St. John's, like for Howard University, Hampton University, like mad school. So that was real work in terms of like, trying to create a movement, so to speak.
Yeah, that's real, bro. And I had a first of all, much love on that project and much love for all of you guys that are on that project in order to risk yourselves and rip your reputation for the cause. So that's love right there. You know what I mean? And then I want to go back to the Black Mirror shit because I love Black Mirror. I love that show, bro. What is your creative process, bro? Like, so they give you the RFP, you win the RFP. What is your process in terms of like, man, I got to get this, like, because that's creative as hell, man. Like, I love that idea. That shit would have scared the hell out of me. And I know PR took it and ran with it.
Yeah, I got to tell you, so Netflix doesn't like to give out any information about the data that they use on their consumers. You'll never see it anyplace. So I was getting interviewed by Adweeks and they saw it and they were like, yeah, so you did this thing and I didn't talk on it. They wrote it on the article anyways. And then within 24 hours of that article being posted, I had Netflix legal team on the phone with me. And it was like, it was bananas. So wow. my creative process, man, it's, I don't know that I have one, to be honest with you. I think what's most important is you have to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you and be okay with that. But a lot of people get their ego involved and it's like they want to be the smartest person in the room. Absolutely not. Majority of the calls I get on, I'm on people who know way more than me, right? And I'm okay with that, right? Because this is how we learn, this is how we build together. So part of it is getting that, smart people in the room, but also people from completely different backgrounds in the room, right? People that understand ad tech, people that understand UX, people that understand UI, people that are strategists. You need to create a group of individuals that is not like one another, right? This is why, so many Black and brown people, we get in these rooms and we get disruptive as fuck with ideas and what we're able to bring to the table, right? Because we're bringing a different background and a different way of thinking when we actually execute on these solutions. So there's that. But like me personally, man, like I'm just one of these people that like, I just have to sit on something for a bit. And quite frankly, I work my best when I'm under pressure. So if I got like less than 24 hours on something, I could bust it out pretty well. But I can do that because most of my career I spent being inquisitive, right? Mm-hmm. And this is where I think you find, good creatives. Good creatives are individuals who are always inquisitive and looking into things and understanding things. Now, I don't know as much as everybody else, but like I dig gadgets and like fucking Oculus Quest and all this shit. And I'm like looking at everything that everyone else is doing, because when you're able to see and have a large kind of purview of the land of what everyone's doing, it allows you to create a lot faster. So I know that there was no real answer there, but like I kind of just like wing it, to be honest with you, man.
That's real, bro. And don't we all at some point, bro? Like that's real. Like, you know what I mean? So I appreciate you even being open and honest about that. And like you said, the fact that attribute your success to everybody else that you have around you and being saying, yo, I'm not the smartest dude, but you know what? I'm here for a reason and I can let my ego to the side if we win. I can't do that if we lose. If we win it, I don't care. But if we losing, then, I got to step in and hold it down. But you know what I mean? But I respect that, bro. And you talked about the future. You talked about the future of web, bro. So like, I would love to know. So let's get into the web 3.0 because it intrigues the hell out of me. You know what I mean? Like we're in the wild, wild west. For anybody right now that's listening and is not familiar with web 3.0, I'll give you a high level summary. And if I miss something, well, just let me know. Yeah. But essentially, it's basically giving back to the creators, right? So basically user experience and all that stuff is going to be everything, right? So like back in the day where the metrics matter and things like that, community and user experience is going to be key to everything. We're removing cookies. So the way we track people's movements online is going to be sort of limited and all those things. And Web 3.0 is just basically a new frontier of the way brands, creators, and community really engage with each other. And am I off base? I feel like I missed something though, Walt.
No, you're 100% right. You're 100% on. You're 100% on.
Cool.
Dead on.
Cool. And so with that, right? So the way we do marketing, the way we do advertising, the way we consume content online is going to change dramatically, right? So with that being said, right, what are some things that you're looking at right now as you prepare for this new frontier? And what are some things that other people should be looking at?
Yeah, I start these conversations always by saying that we're still a far ways off. Right?
Yeah,
like we're definitely not close. I think we get people who get super hype over this shit, and then like you listen to a couple panels, you be like, "Oh, this shit is popping off in 2 months," right? It's like, nah, we got lots. Like, look, it was the year of mobile for like 12 years. Okay,
nice.
So with that being said, man, like I think what's interesting about it is the like ownership, right? And that's everything. It's ownership of who you are, ownership of the content, ownership of the shit that you put out there in the space. And I think that's powerful. I don't know that brands really know exactly what to do with it, because what we're seeing now is like, and when we get into like the whole like NFT shit, right? It's like, oh great, we're gonna drop a sneaker and then we're gonna allow people to buy an NFT for it. Like, okay, but like what else, right? I think what we're gonna do is we're going to, as we get into moments like this where you allow people to innovate and there's no like structure, like great example, 99 2000, right? People were doing all kinds of takeovers, all different kinds of banner sizes and shit. And the IAB came in and was like, all right, we're going to standardize all this shit. Here's our specs. Everybody build around this. And now we're going to allow brands to actually scale across everybody because they're doing it all this one way. I think we're going to probably get to a moment like that at some point where they standardize different types of formats and or solutions, because right now it's just the Wild West. Now, when we start to get into this space, Web3, and then like, let's take a pivot over to like when we start to talk about the metaverse, because everyone's talking about the metaverse, right? Yeah. People don't get that. Like when people talk about the metaverse, like everyone's first thought is this, right? Oh, the metaverse, it's all here, but not realizing it's this too. Right? The metaverse is like a space, and we have multiple portals and multiple ways into that space, right? And I think when I start to talk about the things that excite me as a whole within all of these conversations, to be honest with you, it's AR, right? It's AR because, we went from desktops and like, oh my God, you got a desktop, it's crazy. I can go online and do emails and look at shit in a fraction of a minute, right? Not seconds, but a fraction of a minute, right? And then what happened is then we moved over and we got laptops. Like, holy shit, I can carry this thing, put it in my backpack and go wherever I want to go. I can go sit on the fucking yard and play on my laptop, right? And then we got mobile devices. It's like, oh shit, now I can leave my laptop in my bag and I can take my phone and walk around the mall, do whatever I want to do. And then what's going to happen is, oh shit, I have glasses. So now I'm still going to use my mobile device, but I'm going to leave my mobile device in my car, because when I walk out into a party or walk out into the mall, I'm going to wear it right here, right? And it's not going to be tethered. And then what's going to happen is in 10, 11 years from now, I say this all the time, 10, 11 years from now, right? You got this shit on film right now. 10, 11 years from now, the UI designer of today, which UI designers are fucking important with everything we do. UI designers of fucking 10 years from now are not going to be the same. They're going to be copywriters, because how we interact with brands and how we engage with brands is going to be entirely a two-way conversation, right? So I see some shit. AI allows me to identify an object or identify something in front of me, and then I speak back and forth. Would you like to make this purchase? Yes, I would. Which card would you like to use that on? My Bank of America. Okay, great. Would you like this to be delivered today, tomorrow? Tomorrow. Between what time? Boom, done. And I keep walking, right? That house is for sale. Oh, how much is that house? This house is so much. It's got this amount of bedrooms, this amount of space, this much square footage. Would you like to make an appointment? Yes, I would. Everything is going to be connected. When I walk into my house right now, I have like 11 Alexa devices across my house. Everything's connected for the most part. I walk in my door. I get home, right? I get home. My car notices, recognizes I'm home. It syncs up. My garage door automatically opens. I walk out of my car. My car door automatically closes. My door unlocks by itself. I walk in. Now I say, Alexa, turn on everything. I say, Alexa, turn on everything. Boom. Then what should happen now is it notices one light bulb is out in your kitchen. Then it'll say, light bulbs out in your kitchen. Right now there's a sale for whatever fucking Philips Hue light bulbs. Yeah. Would you like to buy one? Yes, I would. Boom. It's there the next day. Everything is about how we communicate and understand. Technology is going to allow us to identify things around us, know things that we get, know things that we like, make suggestions, and then we can conversate back and forth with them.
That's insane, bro. The way you broke that down, bro, as far as like you said, the ownership part I love, right? But the fact that you said like that two-way conversation and how technology is going to make everything easier and how you have to, one, just communicate with the customer, which goes back to our earlier point, right? If you could think of ways of creating different experiences, and for those who are not listening, who are listening, who don't come from tech space, or everybody from back home, all that stuff, AR, when we mean AR, think about Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
That was the best iteration of it that we've seen that went mainstream, right? So you open up your phone, you want to see Pikachu, he's right there on the block, you're looking up on your building, there's a Charizard or something like that, and that's essentially what's going to be when it comes to B2C consumer interactions. You know, like you said, you want to go to Macy's, that shirt is fire, you got a large, we don't have a large. Do you want this? Oh, Money Exchange got the boom. It's sent to the crib. You know what I mean? So that's what it's going to be. And the brands that understand that and create a way or a seamless process from interaction, you create a good experience, to purchase, are the ones that are going to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then when we get into the whole ownership now everyone's allowed to get a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Right. So now I go into these spaces and I start creating on my own and rolling shit out. Now I got a piece of everything. And that's what we didn't have before. Right. I mean, God, like I said, like all that shit that I patented and whatnot, I would love, like shit, man, if this is Web 3.0 time, I would have been chilling.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Out of here. You've been on Mars, bro. No lie. That's insane.
So it's interesting, man. I'm excited about what the future has to hold. But I think that, a lot of what I'm more excited about is how we interact and engage with brands, man, and seeing it. And I think that when we see Apple at some point within the next year or two roll out their headset, right? Like Apple's the thing I love about Apple, man, is like they probably got like 7 to 10 models of that shit ready, 10-year roadmap ready to go. And they're going to roll out some shit that to us is going to be like, wow, this is amazing. To them, it's going to be like, this is some basic shit. We're going to raise to the number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And they're just so good at rolling that out. But I think that when we get to a point where it's like looking like this, that's when everything changes, man.
That's going to be insane, bro. And like let's talk about the ownership NFT stuff, because I get what it is. Like you said, somebody releases a sneaker, I buy the NFT, or matter of fact, yesterday I went to the Nets game. I went to the playing game. I go to the Nets game, Kyrie crosses somebody, I buy that moment, right? Like, but what's the value of that moment? Like, how do you really assess where to invest the NFT? That's it. Like, what is it?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You don't know. You don't know. I mean, this is why I said, like, this is like the wild, wild west. You got people like love him, but like you got people like Gary Vee writing fucking cartoons out and putting this shit out. His drawings, and he's crushing some from fucking drawings. He's putting on a goddamn notepad and taking a picture of them, putting up. It's hard to tell, man. This is why, quite frankly, like I haven't invested in much of any of that shit, because like I'm questioning, right? Because I think that, when you're in a moment like this, you're going to have people that are throwing a ton of money in because everybody's thinking, I could get rich. Get rich, right? And what you're going to see is like eventually, and I hate to say it, but you're going to see a bloodbath of people left behind who didn't get it right. And you're going to see a select few who got it right. Now, what I do hope that we see as we move forward is the Black community get more involved, right? Because this is just another opportunity, again, where we have limited access to information about this. The technology is selling for it, and then what happens is we get left behind, and then you got all these white folks who are like buying up all this shit, and then it's gone by the time we get to it, right? So,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you made an excellent point. What do you think? Why do you think we're so skeptical?
I think it's access to some of this stuff. I mean, like you go into a high school right now and wherever in the city, and like you talk to a bunch of Black kids, ask them what a web designer is. They might know now. Right. But then like you talk to someone, yo, do you know what a copywriter is? No. But guess what? I bet you know how to write some fucking lyrics. The best fucking lyricists in the world. And guess what? You could be a fucking copywriter because you know how to write those fucking lyrics. It's the same shit. You like to do graffiti? Guess what? I bet you could rock with fucking Illustrator. Let me show you what Illustrator is. You know what you do with Illustrator? These type of ads. You could do these type of commercials with After Effects. But it's lack of just knowing that. Right. Yeah. So again, we're in Web 3.0, and like you don't go out and ask most average person your age and my age don't know what Web 3.0 is, who are in this space. Right. So to ask, someone else who's on the come up what that is, in like whatever young Black kid, they're not going to know any different. So I think, it's important that we create opportunity again to educate and inspire many of us that are out there, because like we could do a lot of this shit. It's not that hard, right? Yeah. It's just we need more of us to actually know about it and get access to it.
Exactly. And a lot of that stuff is content too. And that's why like conversations like these are so important, right? So now if you see two brothers that are, you know what I mean, fitted on that look like you, that come from 241st in Parkchester talking about NFTs, now it's like, yo, maybe something I should look into. You know what I mean? So that's how we have to do. We have to educate each other. We have to, you know, share game. We have to give each other, you know, I was going to say $1 million worth of game, but shout out to Gilly and them. Like, that's what I wanted to be honest with you, for marketing. Why the hell isn't there a drink champs for marketing?
That's what's
You know what I mean? Like, why isn't there? Why can't I be? Why can't we have a beer right now? We just, take a shot, do it. Like, why can't it be? Because I work somewhere? What the hell? You know what I'm saying? And, bro, that's
dope.
I'm do it, bro. I'm trying to turn this into this. I'm getting comfortable. I'm getting my shoulders right. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make it happen, bro.
You get the set, you get it ready. Let me know. I'll come through.
My guy, it's much love, bro. And we can end off on that, bro. On that note, bro. I know we both got the kids, man. But before we leave, man, I just want to reiterate, man. This was a pleasure. This was an honor. You know what I mean? For me as a young Black professional that aspires to be like you, brother, and to see us shine, this shit was amazing. And for those watching, this is the power of us. And this is what we can do, man, when we just say, yo, we're going to be ourselves and show our full light, man. Don't dim your light for nobody. And that's real, man. And I thank you for reiterating that, brother, and rocking with a young brother from the Bronx, man. And anything, man, you know, we rocking. We're going to be tapped in. I'm going to send you my number. Tapped in.
Let's do that. Look, thank you for doing what you do, man. This is great. It's incredible, man. I hope as many people see this as possible, and continue to keep shining, bro. Keep shining, man. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight, man.
That means a lot, brother. Much love. And thank you for everybody who tuned in. Thank you for the comments, guys. We saw y'all. Much love. Next week, we got my boy, my brother, my big bro, man, Ken Gibbs, who runs the global social media for Spotify. You might know him too, Walt. He used to work at BET, VP of BET. Ken Gibbs?
I don't, but I'll check him out. I'll watch.
No, I'm gonna plug you. We need to be like this. So I'm gonna plug you, bro, and we're gonna make it happen. But for those who are watching, thank you again for tuning into More Than Entitled, and we'll see you guys next week. Much love again, bro.
Yeah.